Hi, my name is Omar Rodriguez Villa. I'm a professor of marketing at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. And I do research as well in the evolution of the marketing organization. I do that work with a number of colleagues, Neil Morgan, Sundar Bharadwaj, Shubhu Mitra, and Peter Shelstra. And I'm here today to share the results of work that I've done in partnership with the MMA. And I want to thank the MMA both for their support as well as for the opportunity to talk to you today. And the question really is this, is how should we go about designing a modern marketing organization? We know that many things have changed and that maybe the marketing organizations of the past need to be reshaped to compete more effectively in today's world filled with technology as well as social considerations. But how should we go about doing that? Because what we find in our work, and we've studied over 100 companies doing interviews with the CMOs or marketing VPs and understood how they were changing their organizations, is that becoming a modern marketing organization is actually quite challenging, particularly if you are already an established company and you're trying to change. And part of what makes it challenging is the way that we as marketing leaders have been going about it. And basically, we've been going about it by adding different capabilities as they become necessary. So let's say, of course, digital has become part of marketing today, is no longer new, but we may have a digital team and then we add, let's say we have a brand team and maybe a content team and maybe a CRM team and maybe even a performance marketing team. And you can keep adding, maybe a team managing mobile or a team that managing analytics. As we add more verticals to the marketing organization, eventually what we hear from a lot of managers is it feels like this. It feels like an organization that is really difficult to connect for all these different activities to make sense together. They are all maybe the right activities to be happening, but they are happening in ways that are very fragmented. And this creates a number of issues. These are some of the tensions that we heard during our research, this concern that maybe there's an overwhelming focus on technology and analytics, and maybe a shift away from strategy. And maybe there needs to be a balance on those two. The fact that many companies are adding new features, new technologies, new ways of doing marketing, but sometimes it's hard to figure out which one do we really need, or are we leveraging them to the fullest, right? I mean, an example of this is the DMP, which is an enabler of some aspects of direct CRM and kind of digital marketing, but oftentimes companies go through the trouble of adding it and then finding that they're not able to leverage it as well as they could, which brings us to the point about having a lot of data and not always feeling like we're leveraging it to the fullest. And there's also quite a bit of confusion about the role of different marketing functions as this fragmentation begins to occur more and more openly in the firm. And lastly, this sense that maybe we're adding new activities, new ways of doing things, but we're really not changing the way we're managing marketing. So we think that part of the problem that drives these tensions and the confusion that arises in a modern marketing organization is the way we're approaching the redesign. Because many managers, when they think about upgrading their marketing organizations, they think first about structure, and they pursue clarity on what structure should I have. And what structure mindset takes us to think about, who reports to whom, what kind of maybe skills do I need, and eventually maybe what capabilities do I need to bring in. But frankly, what we think that it would add tremendous value to bring clarity to the design of modern marketing organizations is to approach it differently. I actually approach it from the bottom up, meaning start by thinking about what should be the mission of marketing right now. Given the context, given everything else happening in my company, what is the purpose for the marketing organization? How is it that we create unique value to the growth objectives of the firm? And from that answer, then think about what capabilities do I need in order to create that value. Once you have those two pieces, the rest is a lot easier. Because if I know what my mission is, and I know what capabilities I need to do to deliver on that mission, then the questions about what skills and what org design and what structure become much easier to answer. So that's basically in the essence, the main finding of our work, that to design a modern marketing organization, start with clarifying the mission of the function in your company. Now, how should you go about defining that mission? And the way we went about this is this is one of the biggest outcomes from our research, was to identify the fact that many marketing managers think very differently about the nature of marketing activities today. And separately, maybe from finance or IT or other functions inside companies, the way we think about marketing is very different, sometimes between inside the company and across different companies. For many people, marketing is just advertising, right? For others, is actually maybe more connected to sales. For others, it has to do with managing the customer experience. And there is no, it's hard to get a common definition of what it is. And if that ambiguity exists inside your companies, how are you going to get clarity on what kind of organization you need, right? So job number one of defining the mission is getting one framework that can help you navigate through the different choices and make you the choice that matters the most to your company, right? And the framework we created basically thinks about the way the mission of marketing or its value proposition in two ways: in the way it creates value for customers, and in the way it creates value for the company. And I'm going to first talk to you about the way it creates value for customers, and really break down to three areas. Driving growth by matching a particular offering to a specific customer. So that matching activity, we call it exchange value. And that happens very much close to the transaction itself, okay? So to some people that think about marketing in the funnel framework, you can think about kind of lower funnel certain type of activities, but the goal is to the customer, what you're doing is making the transaction easier by helping them find what they need quicker, okay? Then the second area, you can think of almost of this as stacks, right? Let's first exchange value. Experience value is about driving growth by increasing the convenience and enjoyment across the journey. Now you move away from that transaction moment and that matching of I need X and I find the offering from your company, it matches perfectly and I buy it. Now I move away from that transaction moment and all the other steps in that journey that I'm experiencing, either your customer or your company or your competitors, and how easy or how difficult, how many pain points, how much friction do I experience going across channels, being offline, online, etc. All of that is what we call experience value. And that is, you guys know, a significant way of creating value today for customers. And then lastly, we call it engagement value. And that, now think about what your offering represents, what it means. Not only in terms of deep meaning that the customers or future customers have a relationship, an emotional relationship to it, but also in terms of how many sectors, how many services, how many products does your particular brand can offer credibly, because it has a broad meaning, right? And that's what you're managing in this exchange engagement value area, right? Driving growth by deepening and expanding the meaning of your brand or of your product or service, having a community of users and building purpose around it, right? So we break it down into these three areas. Now I want you to think about these three areas really as a model. So you can have brands like Chobani in the US, which is a yogurt brand, and they compete primarily by creating engagement value, right? Their exchange value maybe is lower than other companies that may be direct to consumer, more digital natives, but they compete very strongly creating engagement value. Delta Airlines and airlines in the US that focuses a lot on building experience value by facilitating the journey using their mobile applications. And Just Fab is an online retail store for women's fashion, and they really focus on exchange value. They basically manage hundreds of targets using machine learning and artificial intelligence to do micro-targeting and automated offerings at the same time, trying to match very quickly what people are looking for, what offers they have. So when you think about these three options and you put them together, they become the first choice set for you. Go back to your question, what is the mission of marketing? And this is, how do you create value for customers? Do you do it primarily through matching and enabling the exchange? Are you going to do it primarily through building and managing the experience? across the journey, or you're going to do it primarily by building engagement, organizing communities, building purpose around your brand. And it's a choice. And you make that choice relative to your competitors and relative to what you can do really well in order to ultimately drive growth. The moment you make that choice, start thinking about how much clarity that brings to your organization, both on what you do and how you're going to do it. And here you have examples of different companies that have picked different configurations to drive their choices. Then on the other side, we have value inside the firm. And this is the other aspect of the mission of marketing in a company. It can create strategic value by bringing ideas and insights into new sources of growth. And increasingly, this could include monetization of assets, monetization of data, new revenue streams, not just new customer segments or new product categories. Operating value, and that is basically how you work together with other areas of your company to enable sufficient agility and efficiency in the interactions between areas. Because as you guys probably know, marketing is really no longer a function. Marketing, to operate well, needs to operate like a coalition, like a network of different units that don't necessarily report to the CMO, but they're all working together with common language, common systems, common data to be able to communicate effectively. And to do that, you need to create operating value. Lastly is knowledge value. This is all the analytics that are now possible based on big data and all the information that mobile and customer level data allows marketers to use. And here the role would be, how can we use that data to create more knowledge value for the firm and ultimately lead to better decision making, right? That's what we need the knowledge for. So collectively, this creates your full set of options for what would be the value proposition of marketing in your company, right? Do I focus on building an organization that's going to create exchange value, engagement value, operation value, strategic value? And that choice eventually leads you to your mission. Now, this is an illustrative example of a company we work with. And in this case, they're considering this as their mission, that marketing in this company in particular exists to build relationships that last. And that's going to focus them on strengthening the customer experience, becoming a champion of the customer-centric culture inside the firm, driving marketing innovation, and energizing the team. And basically that means this set of choices. They're going to double down on building this experience stack really strong. They have some presence in exchange, some presence in engagement, but not as heavily. And then they're going to focus primarily on knowledge and operational, maybe less of a role immediately on driving strategic value for the firm, because other people are going to do that. And this is where they need to focus right now for the next 2 years. See, and that creates all the clarity you need to move to the next step, which is, okay, but then what capabilities I need to bring into the organization and build, right, in order to deliver against that mission, for instance. And that's when you assess your fit. How well am I doing relative to this mission? To do that, we took this framework and we actually mapped out all the capabilities that are required to deliver on those areas of value. And this is a high-level map. We eventually took it a layer down, and we have 72 different capabilities that are measured by over 200 items. And these are basically the capabilities you need to create exchange value, experience value, strategic value, etc. And what we help companies do is map how are they performing today. Think of that as the blue area against all these potential areas of capabilities. And where do they need to go in order to deliver on their mission? And the space that gets created between where I am today and where do I need to go is the fit. And now think about creating a capability agenda, outlining what areas do I need to focus in the next 1 to 2 years to build into my organization. This is your map, right, on how to get there. And once you get this information, you can design your change. You can determine, okay, our biggest capability areas are going to be areas of experience management, and within that, these 3 areas that we currently are not, really performing well, and the other 2 are going to be knowledge value and operating value. That sets the boundaries of your function. And then brings clarity to what kind of talent do I need? Where does it need to sit? Is it inside my team or outside my team, or do I outsource it, right? This decision of insource, outsource. And basically what training or what processes or what tools do we need in order to execute this? So your organization design clarity will come once you get clarity on your mission. Why? What is the role of marketing in your company? And with after that is, how capable am I to deliver on that mission? And that's the fit. Together, those two steps help you design the change and basically build a modern marketing organization. I'm sure you probably have more questions than I'm able to answer in this short video, but I hope this stimulated some ideas and new considerations for you to take into account as you explore ways to deliver more value for your customers and your company through your work in marketing. Thank you.